Going to start on the Skyhunter. That's kind of the layout of the front and back surfaces. It's 6 feet right to left from tip to tip on the front wings. So here's a bunch of parts. Let's get started and build the Skyhunter.
I decided to build the tail up first. So I have 2 carbon fiber rods to put in it. Got to put the control horn on the back and a servo in. Some ends on the end. They look like this to bolt the booms into right there on the side. The booms will have to bolt into that. Then the tail, the tail will also glue to that, the vertical stabilizers. So let me work on that a little bit and see what I come up with. The darn Skyhunter's just messing with me from the start. All my carbon fiber rods everywhere have a slot cut for them to be put into, except for this one on the back. And the instructions tell me they really want it to go right through where the control horn goes on. But there's no slot for it. I have to cut it. If they knew how badly my artistic skills are. I can't draw a straight line. I can't cut a straight line. And anybody that thinks that of themselves is already shot in the foot, because you have to mentally think you can, or you're going to do like I do. Knowing that doesn't help. Like I say, my artistic talents aren't as good as my brain can think of things. So all the rest of the carbon fiber rods in this Skyhunter have channels for them, except for this one. So, and they say to put it underneath that control horn. So I've got it just a hair. I'm going to move it up just a little more towards those 2 screw holes. And then I guess I'm going to try to cut down one side of it with an X-Acto knife. That'll give me my channel. And then I'm going to cut a V in that area and then try to take out the 2 triangles that the V made. I know that probably don't make any sense. I bet this comes out crazy. Okay, there's the slot. But as you can see, my artistic talent is not very straight. And I didn't realize how thin this elevator was in that area. It's almost all the way through it. You can't see it from the other side, but really, if you hold it up to the light, it gets pretty thin. So this carbon fiber rod, it's actually square, but it's still a rod, I guess, square rod instead of a round rod. The rods have to be round. Anyway, so that carbon fiber rod, epoxy that in. And then this one, oops, and it goes in this pre-made slot up here that I don't have to worry about making. That'll get the 2 carbon fiber rods in the elevator. Then I'm going to have to scratch up this plastic and stuff with a sandpaper. Get some nice scratches in it so the glue and stuff can get in it. And then these go right here on the end. And then the vertical stabilizer has a similar cut in it, and that cut goes in there. After that's glued in, then these little cover pieces, whoops, where's my other cover piece? These little cover pieces go on top. That'll become clear a little later. Let me go ahead and get these 2 carbon fiber rods in there. Oh, this is the whole instruction sheet. It just has that exploded view of how all that goes together. There's kind of what I was talking about on that same side. And this is all the instructions you get, is that since the elevator control surface is flexible, please cut a slot and glue the 2mm by 2mm 400mm CF square rod inside it. Make sure that this square rod goes under the control horn and goes through it. Okay. So the whole instructions on the whole airplane right there in the bottom right. Other than that, you get a illustrated parts breakdown, and that is all. While I'm waiting on my epoxy to cure, I'm roughing up these edges with some 80 grit sandpaper, and I'm doing long strokes and then coming back with circular strokes round and around, going back in the opposite direction, doing a 45 on them, coming back again at a different 45, and then coming straight out from the center. So I've got scratches in every direction on this surface now. It's gone from a really smooth piece of plastic to just a really rough piece of plastic that glue will hold on to much better than it would. This just, I mean, it's probably, you can, if I get the light on it right, yeah, right there, you can see how it shines. Not this one. This one's too rough to shine anymore. And that's what I want on all 4 of those surfaces. This is how the vertical stabilizers and the horizontal stabilizers are fixed together. So, and also while I was waiting on this first rod I put in to cure, I used some hot glue and put the elevator servo in. I used a little servo tester and set it to neutral, put the control horn on, and then hot glued it in. Now when I'm ready to put this other rod in the slot behind that servo wire. That's why I did the servo first. Okay, I got the other rod in up front to my satisfaction. Servo wire down it, ready to be connected. And while I was doing that, all the luck of mine is that this rod sort of tried to lift up out of that channel. See what I mean? And now it's got epoxy under it, so you're not going to get it back down. Right about there, it goes down in the channel. Well, and pretty much stays down in the channel on out through here. But you see, that's the kind of thing that happens to me. Now, it's glued to it, epoxy to it. It's going to be strong still. But it's just, you know, that's the kind of thing that might be able to understand complex things, electronics and computers and stuff like that. But as far as physically building a model from the age of 6, plastic car models, everything like that, my stuff was just a little bit well, it was much more ragged than most other people's. But that's the way it goes. So I'm going to take some epoxy on my finger, and I'm just going to smear it over the top of this rod and then try to get my excess off and just try to encapsulate this rod in epoxy so it won't be a problem. That's the best I know to do. So there we are. I put some more epoxy over the top, trying to get it in the center of epoxy, even though it's up a little bit on that side. Then I took a isopropyl alcohol soaked paper towel and just got right near it to get the excess epoxy out. This side was fine. So there's that. That should be pretty much ready to go. This is the bottom side of the elevator. I think I'll put no, don't put the control horn on yet because it'll be harder to do the tails. So I'm going to do the tails and then do the control horn. Now we're going to glue on the pieces. There's a bolt goes through here so that this collar can tighten down on the booms to hold them in. You can see how that works. And then these pieces right here have to be glued into the tail right here. We'll epoxy that in there. Then there's just a little piece of foam here. It's not the right size, but whatever. That goes right there on top. I guess that just keeps the control surfaces level. So that is glued in there. And then on this surface, we will glue on, excuse me, whoops. So that's glued in the end there with that piece over the top. And then this piece will get the same treatment on a on a rudder. The rudder will go rudder. It's not really a rudder. This is a, let's see if I can hold this right. Just around here. Ah, there we go. So I think now you can see that'll go right in there like that. And then there's another little foam piece goes in here. And then that'll be the corner with the vertical and horizontal stabilizer with a little place here. The boom will go in this hole. This screw right here will tighten the boom down. So that's what we're going to try to create here. Wish me luck. While the epoxy is curing on the tail, I'll start setting up for the front. And the way this works is we've got a couple more, two more of those couplers to grasp the booms. We got a slot right here in the bottom. We got a slot right here that this is going to go in. So one straight down. We're going to epoxy that right in there. And then after that's in there, I'm actually going to run a wire through it. I'll show you that later. And then this piece gets epoxied on top, like that. And then we have our little collar back here to tighten down on our boom. And then the boom will go from there to the tail. Really simple stuff. I like this. So the servo cable you see on the wing, that wing is 3 feet. It almost exactly matches my cutting board. 3 feet from each end. And you can see that servo wire is almost twice that. It's about 5 feet. It goes through this hole, through this coupler, through the boom that's coming back through here, and then attaches to the elevator servo back here. That's why it's so long. And that's why I want to go ahead and get it in there right after I epoxy that coupler in. I put my elevator wire through the coupler and into the slot so it can go into the fuselage through the wing. And now it's time to epoxy the top cap on. So there's the top cap epoxied on, curing. Now that is exactly this. This is the Nano Skyhunter. Keep wanting to say Talon, mini Talon. That's the Nano Skyhunter. And the Nano Skyhunter is not even as, the whole wing isn't even as big as half the wing on the Skyhunter. So that boom cap is equivalent to that boom cap on this. Here's the boom coming back to the tail. I forget how this goes through. To look at that deeper. But anyway, so here's the boom for the Skyhunter itself, and that servo cable will be inside of it. It will come back here to hook to the elevator. So there's just a little bit of size difference in the Nano Skyhunter and the actual Skyhunter. I've flown the Nano Skyhunter quite a bit. Crashed it quite a bit too. Yeah, you can see right here how the elevator servo wire for the Nano Skyhunter comes out right here, goes into this pod. It's actually inside this square rod right here, and it comes out back here. Oops. Comes out back here, and that connects to the elevator servo. I'm going to have the same thing on the Skyhunter as we do on the Nano Skyhunter here. So now that that boom pod has cured, you can see this is the bottom part. This is going to go in and connect to the flight controller and goes in this channel of the wing, and again comes out the back. That's all there is to that. I've got a carbon fiber rod to put here, put one here, got one to put right here, and I got one on the other side to put right here. And then I'm going to put a 1.2 video transmitter in this wing. So I'll probably put it in the other wing because of this extra weight on this side. Yeah, I'll put it in the other wing. But that's how this all works. There's that pod, cured, ready to accept the boom. No wire goes through this one. It's just going to be that way. There's also these little plastic reinforcements to each that go right here in the wings to bolt the wings to the fuselage. Have to put them in. And then those 4 carbon fiber rods again that go here, and 3 on the bottom. And the left wing will be done. I'm not sure what I'm going to put out on that one, if anything. We'll have to see. Okay, now it's time to put on the vertical stabilizer, which goes right like that. Oops. There we go. Goes right like that. And then this foam piece comes in here. Oops. Like that. And that glues in to that coupler. And then that's what we have. So I need to go up and get some wings ready to marinate for Thai fried chicken wings tomorrow night. I'm going to go ahead and epoxy this up and let it cure while I go up and do that. I'll let them marinate for about 24 hours, overnight, etc. I ended up doing both of them. I'm going to let them cure while I go up and start my chicken wings marinating. I am going to print out me some more of the little 3D parts I put on the mini Talon. I've got some carbon fiber rod left over. I'm going to do a little one from here down in here someplace just to reinforce these a bit. They're not dry right now. I don't want to move them much, but they'll move. So I think I will do that. and I put the servo horn and the servo linkage on this assembly, and I'm finished with it. So all the collars have to have a little bolt and nut put on them, and there's a little capture here, so put the nut in that little plastic piece. Hope I don't drop it. I have trouble. And I'm just going to tighten it down finger tight so that all the nuts and bolts are in their proper place for later, and that's how that collar tightens down on that. Now I've already put them through the two tail pieces and the other wing. So I put the servo horn on. There it is. I used two M3 bolts and nuts, put it through the holes. Can you tell I'm paranoid about losing control surfaces? So that's done. The only thing left on this is to put on the linkages, linkage, I guess. And these really are just really too flimsy for my beliefs. So I am going to put the carbon fiber and 3D printed parts, braces on it. Maybe from way up here down into here, who knows? Just get a little stiffness in them. So the two braces and the linkage on the servo, that's all for the tail. Well, that's all for tonight. It's about midnight. That actually is got the 4 collars captured, screwed down, and the servo cable through the right. I haven't hooked it up. It is through the right boom. So besides the servo linkage on the horizontal stabilizer and the supports, that's complete. 2 wings, fairly complete. They still have some parts to put in them themselves, and then the electronics that I will embed in them, the servos and all that still hasn't been done. And then that front wing should bolt down to the fuselage with those 4 bolts. And that's the way it works. I can piggyback the Nano Skyhunter and have a release system that lets it go. So there's a little bit of difference in the Nano Skyhunter and the full Skyhunter. But that's what I accomplished today. Thank you.